We are back. We're back again, people.
That's all fucking natural.
Where'd you get that from?
Hey, focus.
I am focused. Mark's flashing
We're on
Modelo's
the
over
show
there.
here. All right. Welcome to the Eric and Tony Show. I'm Eric. This is Tony.
And I'm distracted.
Charlie,
Yeah.
sidekick, Charlie Clark.
Full name.
So, yeah. What's up, guys? We're not drinking today. I got coffee, got a LaCroix. Charlie's just swallowing.
I had a LaCroix
I think my
until Mark
liver's
brings me
about to
Modelo.
explode, so holding off. Getting pains.
Doing a sober show today.
Not really drunk on the show regularly, but I do like to have a
Dude,
beer.
I'm a lightweight. I get drunk.
I don't know. Like,
Really?
Dude, you see the last episode? Well, just wait until
You're
the last
like-
episode. I'm just in the corner like...
We were talking about American
talking
politics, though.
really- he's talking about politics. He's all
Yeah.
smart. He's like, 2 beers in.
well, I don't really eat. Like the last time I eat is like 11 o'clock in the morning is the last time I eat. And then it's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when we're here. So I have 2 or 3 beers. I'm like, okay. I'm like getting a little loopy. The last time I think I had 4 Coronas or something. And I was like, all right, I'm like fucked up right now. I'm like, I'm not sober anymore. Like,
He looks like he's judging.
Yeah,
you.
I am judging. I mean, again, too, that's not like a good thing. I'm not like, dude, I could drink 9 beer. I mean, that's
well, you drink that's like your job and shit.
it's
Like,
in the genes.
You
It's in
go
the
out
DNA,
all
you know?
the time, and
Yeah, I've never
you're like a
seen you
night
drunk.
owl. So you're always out going to
Boy,
shows,
I tell you,
doing
if
stuff.
you were at the show, like, so I had a show last Friday, and then I smoked a joint, an infused joint afterwards, and went to Barney's Beanery, and it didn't. I smoked it, got out of the car, parked, got inside the place, and then when I got to the table with everyone that we're meeting with, I was fucked up, like just CrossFit. I had like 2 beers before at the show, smoked like 2-3 hits of this joint, nothing crazy, but then I actually we did much the whole case of beer.
Wait,
last
an
time,
infused... What goes into an infused joint?
it's like when they take the fucking joint and they like sprinkle other weed on top of that, and it's like blast. It's just like it's the kumite of weed, where it's just like all the weed. It's just too much shit going on. So like, and it smokes really smooth. So you didn't really realize how like high I was till I got inside, and then just the way it works out, like it's always like all the chairs are taken, like it's fucking like musical chairs, and I'm just standing there in Barney's Beanery. It's Friday at 10:30. There's way too many people to be in public with, and I was like, oh, this is not good. And then I was literally just kind of holding onto the table like, okay, dude, like I started sweating, like fucking like, and I got a giant forehead. He's like, there's a lot of room for sweat up there. So I'm just like trying to, all right, keep it together, man.
I've just never heard of a
was
good
so-
story from an infused joint, though. Like, I hear people talk
I'm
about it, it's
done.
like,
I don't
dude,
need
it
it. I
was
don't need it.
horrible. So why
Well,
are we
I mean,
doing
again,
it?
if I was at home, that'd be one thing. But the fact that I was in public, just like got there, and it was a Friday at 10:30. I didn't realize how packed it would be, so it was just overstimulated. I was like, oh shit, and like kind of this. I brought this up because you said you never see me drunk, right? I thought it was a dead giveaway that I was fucked up because Eric's fucking carried my drunk ass numerous times, and vice versa.
True.
The few times you've gotten drunk, fireman carried you. But I was just trying to like play it off like, okay, cool, and everyone else is sitting down, and like Ben's to my right, and all our friends are on the other side of the table, and then my other buddy Chase rolled up, and there was nowhere for him to sit, so he's standing next to me. And I was like, leaned in. I'm like, dude, I am not doing good right now. So he and I were just kind of, he was talking me off the ledge. I was like, okay, all right, I'm okay. Do I look fucked up? Is okay? And I had bought a beer and a Diet Coke, and then he brings me another beer. So I have like just this line of fluid to drink. I'm like, I cannot drink. I had to like just polish a couple Diet Cokes out before I could drink a beer. And then the kind of high kind of started to come down. But I was like, this is not how I ever want to be in public. That faded.
Yeah, that gets a little scary. Like, I had like a situation. It was actually after one of your shows down at the West Side Comedy Show.
Yeah, theater.
And we went to the West Side Comedy Theater. And we went to what is that? The Mexican place.
Cabo Cantina.
Cabo Cantina. And I had like maybe like 3 IPAs or something, and kind of didn't really eat that much. I was a little saucy, and I was smoking one of these like fucking nicotine pen things, right? And dude, this was the craziest shit. Like, be careful with that stuff if you are drinking and smoking those on an empty stomach, because this is like a shot to your brain, like for like a good 5-10 minutes maybe. Like it just like kind of like mutes everything. So I like get up. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm in here. I'll fucking take a rip of my little nicotine pen thing. And I start like fucking shaking like this. And I couldn't stop, dude. I swear to God. I'm wet. I'm standing by the fucking the sink, and I'm going like this. I'm going like this, and like there's nobody in there, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta pull together. I look crazy right now. And then so I'm like, I just need to. I'm like, I just need to dry my hands off, right? So I go over to one of those machines, and it's like, it's drying my hands, and I'm holding on to it like this. And this dude walks in. These two guys walk in. And they're like, "Yo, bro, you okay?" And I'm like, just standing like this.
Never been better.
Yeah, I'm like, I felt like a fucking total crackhead. I'm like, oh my god, Jesus Christ! I'm like, I gotta pull this shit together, man. I'm getting kicked out. They're gonna fucking call an ambulance or something. So
left leg, right leg.
Yeah, and then I'm like trying to like, okay, I just gotta sit down. I gotta sit down. So I finally get back over to like the table, and everyone's sitting there, and like. Thank God, knowing that was like, there was a lot of people there that night that came after the show that were like, there's like a table of like all your comic friends and other friends and girlfriends of friends and all this stuff. And then I'm like, thank God none of these people like came in there and saw me just like fucking rocking like a psychopath on the fucking hand dryer. And then I sit back down and I'm like, okay, I sit down and I just was like, same thing. I'm like kind of starting to sweat a little bit. I'm just like, oh, just like take deep
the
breaths.
sweating is the worst part.
And no one was none the wiser. It was like, just like, okay, I got past it. And then I was like, fuck this. I'm not ripping any of that anymore. I was like, it was scary though.
It's funny because I was also hitting my little nicotine pen too. But like, I feel like the exterior sweats is what you want. You want the sweat on the brow. You don't want the mouth sweats. That's when you know it's about to go fucking real south. You're like, oh boy, I got a lot of extra saliva in the mouth right now. This is about to fucking be a purge in a second. Yeah.
Well, that's how I was when you like I haven't really smoked weed or like done edibles in a long time. It's probably been like almost a year now. And so
it's not. That's an air exaggeration.
It's definitely
Eric,
been.
It's not been a year ago
since you gave me an edible.
Yes, it was like maybe like a week ago.
No, it's not a week ago. It was like 2 months ago. And before that, I hadn't done anything. Like it was probably since we went to like Mexico or some shit was the last time I like maybe ripped something off your.
No, I gave you like an edible like months ago. Like
I know that's the last time that I did anything.
Maybe it might have been last year.
Before then, it was like it. So before then,
like
I had a stint for like at least 9 months where I didn't smoke anything or take any edibles. So just like ripping on my nicotine pen thing. And after work, we're in Tony's car and he's like, oh, here, I got this gummy. It's like, what was it? You said like, oh, it's 2 milligrams or something, some little small little fucking amount.
It's like 5, I think.
5, he thinks. So I'm like, okay, he pops these things like candy. So, and I'm like, and I used to eat like fucking.
You're gonna finish that?
Yeah, 100 milligram chocolate bars. I used to melt them in my coffee in the morning, fucking drink them and shit, and I'd be fine. I could like function. It was like my tolerance was really high. And so I was like, oh yeah, like, one little gummy, it's been a while, but yeah, whatever, I'll just eat it. So pop it in. He's driving me home. Drops me off. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you get home in my apartment. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm starting to feel it. I'm getting a little stoned. All right, this is fun. I remember this. This is good. The good times. Then I'm like, you sit down. I'm like, okay. I'm getting a little bit more stoned. Then I'm like, another like 20 minutes go by, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking like really stoned now. Now I'm getting like scared. Now I'm like,
you get to a point where you start getting scared of heights when you're that high. You're like, oh, okay, stop going this high. I'm already fucking high. This is a little too fucking like.
I was definitely getting like too high, and then I was like, oh, like the anxiety kicked in, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, like this is just keeps driving down, it just keeps getting harder and harder, and I'm like, okay, so then I'm like, okay, now I had plans to do something that night. I had to, dog sit or some shit. So I'm like, I can't do anything. Like I can barely stand up. And I'm like, I had to like cook dinner and stuff. I'm like, that ain't happening.
You're holding on to a hand dryer that's not there.
Then I'm just like, okay, what's the safest
ridiculous image ever?
What's the safest situation I can put myself in? I'm like, I'll just lay in my bed. I'll just fucking like lay in my underwear and just lay it in my bed. And I'm like,
trying to feel something.
It kept getting worse and worse. And I'm like, oh my God, and my mouth starts sweating. And I'm like, like fucking like you're gonna throw up and shit. Run off my bed, threw up. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I barely walked to the fucking bathroom, throw up, go back to bed. I'm like laying down. I'm like, oh my God. I'm trying to watch TV. I'm watching TV with fucking like one eye for like 2 hours. I'm watching TV with one eye. I'm like, my fucking like face was getting sore. I'm like, this is so fucked up. I'm like, I've never been that fucked up before.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, what if I just close my eyes and just try to go to sleep? I do that and everything's just like fucking spinning. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't even like sleep this off. So I'm just like forced to keep watching TV with one eye open until like I fucking just like passed out. Woke up from that. I'm like in my underwear. My bed's like sweaty. It's all fucking gross and shit. And I'm just like, okay, I was still like high from after sleeping for like 2 hours. I'm like, Tony, what in the fuck did you give me, dude? And he's like, oh, it was like a 5 milligram little gummy. That's it.
Meanwhile, I drove home like, do.
Yeah, and I'm like, you fucking drove home. You're like doing all the shit, and then like fast forward, I don't know what it was, like another month or something, and he's like, oh yeah, we were gonna work on something. We had to put some drywall up or something, and he's like, oh, I got some edibles. He's like, well, there's no time like the present. And I'm like, no, motherfucker. I'm like, not time like the present. I'm like, I ain't taking that. I'm like, you should do that. Like,
well,
this
funny,
wallpaper job that's supposed to take like a fucking hour to do, it's going to turn into like fucking 8 hours.
Remember when,
and then you're like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm like, dude. And then he's like, this is only 5 milligrams. And then before he popped it, I'm like, stopped him. And he's like, oh, wait, these are actually like 10 or 20. I'm like, yeah, you don't even know what the fuck you're doing. You're just like popping drugs in your mouth and shit.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's the thing is I think with edibles, and most times, like for me with weed and shit, I can usually kind of like, I think you can kind of scare yourself sober because I don't think you're a very frequent cannabis user.
No, I just think you're two fucking psychos. Like I cannot relate. You're just looking at each other like, yeah,
I'm a sucker for a good challenge.
Yeah.
No, we did like Eric and I did. We did the hardwood floors at like the old place I was living at, and we did them. We got high. Well, we were doing a lot of fucking like DIY projects high. We built his truck bed out like while we were stoned and shit. And then when it came into like working on the house, the first time we did like the floors, we sanded them down and we were at Home Depot, and never, ever, ever take advice to anyone from Home Depot as far as what they say to use for like an application for anything. They're all fucking idiots. They're just, everyone that works there is a fucking moron. It's like yeah, that's right. I want that strong stance I'm taking here. People work at Home Depot, fucking idiots.
You know what it is though at Home Depot? It's not that they're idiots. It's like they have so many options, especially when you're trying to build something.
No, that guy had no idea what the fuck he's talking about. And when in every YouTube tutorial I watched about putting like a varnish down, said to use a lamb's wool applicator, and this guy's like, don't use that, use a roller. I'm like, and me being like, it's easier to do that, was like, well, that sounds like the easier option and shit. And then when I had to do that, and we had all these rope lines, and it just like, it looked all fucked up. And if we would have put more coats on, we'd had to sand off more. So put the first coating on, and then I just like was like abandoned ship, and Eric and I basically stopped the process. Then I had to re-rent the sanding equipment, then fucking sand down the floors again. So then I actually did the right way with the lamb's wool applicator.
What the fuck is this story about again?
Because we did 2 coats.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
We did 2 coats.
Give us a play-by-play about how to fucking refinish your hardwood floors.
Some people might want that information.
I just let you two go.
So then we get 2
so
coats
there we
on.
were, the third coat, it wasn't perfect yet.
Let me finish.
I know, right? Like,
it's looking real nice, right?
What are you talking about?
Eric and I decided to take edibles, and they kick in instantly. Usually there's like, a little bit of an onset. It takes like 45 minutes or an hour. Of course, now that I'm about to put the third and final coat on this shit, I get fucking stoned out of my mind. I'm like, God damn it, I want to fuck this floor up yet again because of like, now weed, not the fucking application. But we pulled it off, and it looked great.
They did. The floors look great. But
so
I think the moral of the story is don't fucking smoke weed or do edibles if you have to do something important.
Don't do that with your projects.
Have you gone back and looked at your projects though?
Yeah, they're great.
They're all fucked up.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
They're like upside down houses. The museum artwork now.
That was sober, high, sober.
The crooked house.
Fucked up.
Yeah. You never really got into smoking though, huh, Charlie?
Fuck no. I had one experience. I was doing a play. It was pretty important play at the time. It was a play called The History Boys, and it was the first time they had done it since they did it on the West End with James Corden and all that. We were doing it in LA, and I remember, so I'd smoked weed when I first came out here a little bit, but it was all the weak, cheap shit, So every time I did it, I was like, I get a bit of a kick there, but it's not doing much. Well, this one time, I woke up late for the rehearsal, so I had to rush into the rehearsal, but I had an edible. Someone gave me an edible, like some fudge thing or whatever. And so I thought, whatever, I'm hungry. I'll just have it. It'll be like a fudge brownie, It's nothing.
Yeah.
And so I popped it. I go to the rehearsal, and it's a big one. There's like producers in watching this one. It's the important, we've got it all together. And I remember I was sitting there all happy. It was a big ensemble cast, And then my lines were coming up. I had monologues and everything. And I just remember sinking into the chair. Like I felt really, really heavy. I was like, that's weird. Didn't put 2 and 2 together,
How many people was this in front of?
Well, there was probably only maybe like 5 producers watching it, but it's the people that pay for it. And then there's the director there, Oh,
okay.
I was like, okay. And we're getting towards the end, towards showtime, It's sort of like an important rehearsal. I felt getting really heavy. And I remember when my lines come up, and all I remember was it's when my monologue kicks in, I just
no.
and my mouth was like, and I said, what's going on? Are you okay? And apparently, like, I went bright red. My face swelled up. And anyway.
No way.
Yeah. And I just sat there like, all right, we'll ignore his lines. And they just kept going. You know? They literally, they skipped about 2 pages and just like, Charlie's on one today. Literally, we need him in the play.
This kid.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but anyway, so once that was all over, it was like that for the whole thing. I didn't even do my lines. I just kind of sat there for the whole rehearsal and just ignore that character. Yeah. They missed about 10 pages. But then I got home and I asked my friend, what the hell? I thought it was just a fudge brownie. Like, what's going on here? I was just a bit peckish. And I think it was 15 milligrams. Something. It was for cancer patients. And I just popped the whole thing. And you're only supposed to do like even the cancer patient's supposed to do a quarter of it. It's like chop up in half. Yeah. I just popped the whole thing.
You didn't have
just
cancer.
Hungry. Yeah. That was breakfast, So that's my experience. Since then, fucking stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, once you have like a bad like experience like that, it definitely makes you think about it. Dude, it's not even fun out here
when they're like making all this stuff. It's like, how strong can we get it? How fucked up can we get someone on the smallest puff? I was like, well, that's to me, that's not the fun of it. I remember being like sitting there with friends and just, you could have a few and you just chilling. Yeah. Now it's like, I'm just fucked up for the whole night, no matter what it is.
I think it's definitely like the tolerance though. Like if you're doing it, when I was doing it like on a daily basis, like it doesn't have the same effect as if, you're someone that hasn't done it in a long period of time and you take a little hit that it's like, I remember whenever I would stop smoking, I wouldn't stop for as long as I have recently, but I'd stop for like a few months and then I would take a hit or take a bong rip or something. I'd be like, whoa, this is crazy. Like this little eighth will last me like a whole fucking month. Whereas before I was going through like an eighth, like a day, like just smoking all the time and eating edibles and all this shit. So if your tolerance is
but
like
that's how you are
low,
though. You always just fucking like overkill everything and shit. Like,
but did you have any horror stories like at the beginning?
Smoking?
Yeah. Or because I did. That's like why I just didn't get into it. I was just instantly like, well, this is awful.
I smoked because this chick. Well, this is back in Wisconsin. I was like maybe 19 or 20, and this chick brought some California weed back, and I was at was it Barker Beach or Bradford Beach, that man-made. There's a lot of lakes and like little tiny like water holes and shit to go fucking swimming in. Sounds water holes to go swim. And like I was like
rednecks. A lot of jean shorts and quarries.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of missing people in those quarries and farm equipment.
That's like a thing.
So,
wait, doesn't everyone drown in a quarry? Like
I lost a lot of family members in quarries. I had a twin brother.
That's the most common cause of death where you're from.
Yeah, my brother Donnie, my brother Drowny. No, like basically. I was a cigarette smoker, so like she rolls this joint, I'm hitting it like it's a cigarette, not really, and also too like she was like French inhaling, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna definitely smoke this chick. I had a crush on her, she wants me to smoke with her, blah blah blah, and like I was fine until we got out of the car, and I literally when I got up, I felt like I was in like the Michael Jackson fucking like. What the hell is it? Smooth Criminal video. No, Smooth Criminal. Like I was like leaned forward and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fall. Like, and I got my top heavy guy.
Wait, you talking about the lean?
Yeah, I was like, I felt like I was leaning forward the whole time while I'm walking and shit. I was like, okay, I don't feel good. And I go to the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm me still. And then I'm like, the second I turn away, I'm like, oh, like I only felt normal when I was splashing water in my face and I was trying to shake that. And then I go to the beach and this is like, still, it's like Wisconsin. There's like grass around the beach. There's sand, but there's also grass far enough where I was on like the beach towel and shit. I remember laying there watching the blades of grass like blow in the wind in the sun. And I was like, holy shit, I am fucked up. So we go back to my parents' house. And like she drops me off. Now I'm just like fucking high and like, can't control myself. But like I was driving in the car and like I had like a cold soda in my crotch. I felt like I pissed myself. Like all my senses were just off. I didn't know how to gauge anything. It was my first time being high. And also like you're trying to like impress a chick. I'm like, hey, is this normal? Is this normal for me to feel like this? Like you gotta like have to get better before. I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally happy. I'm happy right now. This is a great time. And then my parents' refrigerator broke, ironically enough, that day. So my mom made all the meals. So like I went home and like I was already like a kind of a bulk eater when I was a kid. So like I just ate a shit ton of food and then passed out and like.
I thought you said my parents were refrigerator broke. Yeah. Like that's like a different level of broke.
Yeah. Man, they were so broke. We didn't have a refrigerator
broke.
We had an actual box, an ice box of ice. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like when I had one of my stints when I stopped smoking, when I started up again, I was about to go on this like long backpacking trip, the longest one I've ever done. And so that night before, my buddy and I, he had a joint rolled up and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, gonna go on this cool like backpacking trip and like I want to smoke weed during it and stuff. So he passed me a joint and I started smoking it like I was before. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and all of a sudden I get the mouth sweats, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking throw up. Like, and so he's talking to me, and like the next day he's like, dude, that was so fucking crazy. You were like, I was talking to you and you wouldn't like respond. You were just like fucking like trying to keep it down and shit. And then I ended up just barfing like right on the side. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like right before I go on this crazy ass trip, I'm like fucking myself up and like messing my head up and stuff.
Isn't that weird though how that happens? We're like, again, too. So you look at like, so like it's that, you know, again, this is our sober episode. Mark said we should call it mouth sweats, which is a great idea.
Mouth sweats episode. Yeah, I've never had a mouth sweat. I'm listening to you like you're relating on this. I'm like,
you just
I've
haven't
never
been like,
experienced this.
I'm telling you, next time you get that fucking queasy, like I've done too much of anything like substance, drinking too much, or
drink
getting
stories. Of
crossfaded.
course I have.
But you get that sweaty mouth, like, ooh, this is like the indicator that you're about to puke. But sometimes you have these marathon things. When Eric and I were up in San Francisco for a buddy's wedding, same dude, right, Jason?
Yeah.
We had
shout out to J Bone.
Jay Boogie.
Shout out to J Boogie.
He had this awesome fucking reception in the park in
under the Golden Gate Bridge, Kirby Cove.
Kirby Cove. Super scenic. If you're ever up in the Bay, you got to go up there and check it out because it's gorgeous. But he had like just every type of booze. I'm like a beer guy, so there's like just we were drinking a lot of shit ton of beer. We were smoking a shit ton of weed and like e-cigarettes and I also had like a hash pen. So we were smoking copious amounts of weed and drinking and shit. And then Eric and I, at some point in time, we both were just we were both really drunk and both of us have squinty eyes. We're trying to get a fucking like, we're just two guys hanging out getting drunk, and none of the pictures had our eyes open in them.
Yeah, but like trying to open your eyes as much as possible, it still looked like this in every picture.
Like we had drank so much red wine that our teeth were also just like purple and shit. And I was like, in wine will fuck you up, man. I used to polish a bottle, off with my fucking chick, and that would be, I would be hammered. But for whatever reason, sometimes you just get on a good tear. It's just the moment and stuff.
They did have really good food there. They had like a barbecue company that came in, and they had some bomb ass food. And so by the end of the night, it was like we had basically turned into Vikings. We're just like walking around with like fucking shanks of meat and bottles of red wine and just like swilling and drinking and eating and stuff. And
let me tell you the story.
Teeth are all red.
Yeah.
And
dude, the wine industry
off my teeth.
Nailed their marketing. It's they make it all sound sophisticated. It's like start at 4 p.m.
I've never been able to tell you a note of a wine and shit and like all that stuff. I think it's the same thing. Weed's the same way too, where everyone's like the terps and all that shit's like I don't fucking know. I don't even know what the fucking terpene is. I just know that like, I smoke this shit. It's got a flavor.
You're like him.
But I will say that having a wine and like eating like a charcuterie board or something like that.
Yeah,
I used to do that all the time by myself, and Tony would always make fun of me. He'd be like, he'd come home to the apartment, and I'd have a bottle of red wine, and I'd have like French bread. I'd put in the oven with like some expensive cheese from the grocery store and put honey on it and stuff. And Tony'd be like, "Man, what the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to seduce yourself? What the fuck, man?" But it's
fucking sad.
In
your old apartment as well.
Ooh, I like the way you look.
Yeah. Like just like looking at your wall, like your old apartment was tiny, right?
No. This is in the place that we lived for the last like 12 years, and I still live. But I would just like watch like a movie by myself, and just I'm like, it's like there's good
Bridget Jones.
Like alcohol goes good with certain things. You pair it right, like I think like a beer and like a bratwurst like go great. Like they're so good. Like like a salty big pretzel and like a beer, or like wine and cheese, or wine and Italian food is like really go great together. Not necessarily
steak
get like
wine,
fucked up, but like they make the flavor flavor it just like cleanses the palate.
Like beer
really
and cereal. Chef's kiss.
Yeah,
a little oatmeal and some whiskey. Oof. Like, get your day started off.
Yeah, there's
I still like to have I still like the classic American Coca-Cola and like a burger and shit. I usually have to have like some kind of, when I drink diet soda now because of my fucking trying to not rot my teeth out and stuff, but I like to have like a little sweet something with my savory. So I usually have like the trifecta of beverages. I'll have a water, a beer, and a Diet Coke when I eat meals and stuff. In case you guys are wondering, you want to buy me dinner after this.
You said you're trying to save your teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking into the old beauty things right now, huh?
Beauty things.
Your hair.
I'm trying to see my hair.
Did you say you wanted to whiten your teeth? You said you wanted to whiten your teeth.
I switched. I would like to fucking whiten my teeth. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that
Get
up.
those something about Mary fucking teeth.
That's what I do.
Chitlets.
Matt Dillon. Is that
those goofy bastards are the best things ever happened.
It's one of the best lines ever.
No, dude, like I had a shit ton of cavities when I was a kid, right? So when I moved out again, so one of the things we're talking about today is like moving out on your own, right? So when I was 20 years old, I packed up my fucking shit and moved out here, and I didn't have health insurance. So I was like, I got to keep my fucking shit together. So like I stopped eating candy, just shit that like I know would fucking cause cavities. So I haven't had a cavity filled in 20 years, but I have a shit ton of metal in my teeth that I like to get replaced. But like and diet soda is not much better, but it's not as sugary and stuff. Except I have a Coca-Cola.
Well, there's no sugar in diet soda.
But it's still acidic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No, it's not fine.
It's
still bad for your teeth. But it's better. But like you shouldn't have any of that shit. But like, So
I think it's wild.
So I drink LaCroix.
Not getting the sponsor.
Yeah.
I like LaCroix.
Or are
I'm
they
looking at the wrong
sponsored?
camera.
It's refreshing. I like LaCroix in every camera.
That's right.
And inside me.
All right. Well,
So Charlie, how did you get to the LA? What a segue to the LA.
dumbass.
Fucking plane.
How did you get here?
came here on
Did you
a
guys
boat.
float on a raft? Like a
That's exactly how I did it. Yeah. I don't know. There's not really much of a story there.
Let me ask you this: when Columbus put you in the ships, were you in the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria?
I was in the penthouse, man.
The penthouse?
It was on top
No,
of
that
it.
was a ship.
The Penthouse Maria.
Penthouse Maria.
Do you think it's with the dentist thing though? I think it's wild. Like I look in the mirror and I didn't realize I have all the black marks because they just use proper just iron or whatever it is and just stick it in. And they have all the technology to do whatever it is you do, yet they just stick fucking metal rods in here and it's disgusting.
They didn't really have. I have a couple white fillings in there and shit, but they didn't. Back when in the day, I was just all steel or whatever the fuck they put in there and shit.
Yeah, but when did you get the
Recycled
white
can-
fillings?
I only have like one because it's like I literally had like a shit ton of fillings when I was in school as a kid. And then when I was like old enough to realize I fucked my teeth up, I really, been taking care of them. And I floss like at least once a month. I have a really good fucking dental hygiene routine, but like there's just years of smoking and shit. Like I'd like to fucking like whiten my teeth. Thanks for bringing that up because I hope everyone the rest of this fucking podcast just stares at my fucking teeth. Like they are really yellow. Like this is how white his eyes are. I was yellow as teeth are.
I don't think teeth really matter, do they? I have nice
fucking
teeth and
do
I don't
matter,
get laid
yeah.
that much. Trust me.
I
No,
will
well, I
say,
mean-
Charlie, you have like the best teeth for coming from where you come
Yeah, I
from.
know.
I don't think you're really British.
Known
Yeah.
for
I know.
fucking having
It's
shit,
weird. I don't know.
shit mouths.
I need to look into
Yeah.
my past to be honest.
Exactly.
Something's gone wrong there.
Is everybody else in your family
and I'm
just
kind of tanned too.
Do you have all the teeth and no one else has teeth in your family?
They're just gums.
Exactly. Your brother's got one tooth.
everyone just got fucking
Mom, why Charlie get all the teeth?
ridiculous mouths?
Models all have bad teeth though, right? Isn't bad teeth like popular? I swear, all the most famous models they have terrible teeth.
Yeah, there are some busted ass fuck. There's a chick
Maybe not
that was-
Americans. I'm talking about British models.
Yeah. There are
type
some,
in type up there any famous British model terrible teeth.
Huh.
Kate Moss. I don't want to slag her off like she's hot. Kate Moss. No. Keira Knightley. Strange teeth.
strange teeth. I don't mind strange teeth.
I like strange teeth. Anything
Yeah.
that's a bit quirky. But no one has that like American
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
the fuck
Simon
is that?
Cowell thing going on.
I mean,
like
I like the gap. I like the gap in between the two front teeth. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Find it
who was
sexy.
like the famous girl? Or well, Madonna, I guess she was famous. She had a gap.
She
in
had
it.
a gap.
Never hot.
Ooh, I like
Madonna was
that.
never attractive.
Really?
Yeah,
oh
she
man,
was.
80s Madonna.
Yeah, 80s
Okay,
Madonna.
you know was dude, not at all.
Dude, I had a crush
She
on her
looks-
when I was a kid. With
A bit like
that chick
Pennywise
that,
in that one.
Yeah, no, that's
But
much.
Madonna, she was
I had a girlfriend
beautiful,
once
man.
that was like missing like
Rosario
the tooth
Dawson.
like right next to like one of her canines, like that one, just big hole there.
You didn't like it.
Nah,
I
was
love
like,
that stuff.
ah,
Something
it's
like quirky
Who,
and
your
different.
ex?
yeah,
Yeah, well, name will not be
yeah,
mentioned.
but
Anna Paquin, she has it.
Anna Paquin's cute with it. I think Rosario Dawson was cute with her gap tooth, but I'm glad that she got her teeth fixed because she just like is just that little extra hot.
Nah, I don't want the teeth fixed.
I think guys can look past like a jacked up mouth on a really pretty girl.
I can.
Where like I don't think girls will look past that on a guy. Like if he's like,
You reckon?
I think you gotta get if you gotta,
Crazy
Well,
ass
no, if
teeth
you have the
and shit.
jawline, you're fine. You gotta have one of the two. A
Dude, I
nice
don't
teeth
know. I mean,
or
it
that
depends.
fucking
Okay,
chiseled.
if you have like crooked teeth, that's one thing. If you're missing a fucking tooth,
Yeah, that's a
missing
key.
tooth's a real. That's an indicator you ain't got your shit together.
How many teeth could a girl be
I don't give a-
missing and
I
you'd
don't give a
still
shit, I'll
date
do it.
them?
Nah, man. I'm talking about like there's
How
some
many what?
How many teeth could a girl be missing and you'd still date them?
Zero.
I know. Get a good gum job.
No, I think you gotta have. That's something you gotta get. You gotta get your fucking teeth together.
What if a
You can't,
girl?
it can't be like it has to. If in the first
No
like you have
bad
to 2
breath.
4. If a molar is maybe an exceptional thing, but like if I was really gonna put time with someone, I'd probably buy them a tooth.
What if?
Buy him a tooth.
I know you wanted a handbag, but here's a tooth. How about that? I got 32
What if they
teeth
had a
together.
killer smile but they had a dead tooth in the front? You know, like a
does
like
it
a
dead
brown
tooth that smells?
It's like a brown dead tooth. You know, like sometimes people
I'll
have
take
dead
it.
teeth.
I don't care. Even better if,
Take it. I wouldn't
if
care.
they have a weird voice as well. They kind of like lisp.
Okay.
Like a nerdy
I
lisp
thought
or
you meant
something.
like a groveling
No, I mean,
smoker. I was like,
hey,
Charlie, why'd you come over here?
that
Let me give you a
toots.
handy. Yeah.
Put on your trousers.
Yeah, let me give you a handy.
The dead
Something
tooth,
for
the
ya.
pirate
Oh,
voice.
gummy.
It's a stretch. Yeah.
Maybe it's just Austin Powers has come up.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like,
What about
the
that one? Yeah, like the
poster
one
child.
tooth missing at the front.
No, dude, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
They get the whistle like, say, Charlie.
Do you ever have those dreams where like you're missing teeth, you get teeth pulled out,
No,
or
I
like
know
you-
people have that. I
Okay,
never
everyone
have
knows
I've
you
had
have
that
dreams,
before.
Eric. Not all of us
Oh, that's
have
right.
them.
You don't have
That's
dreams.
right.
I did
Tony
have those
can't dream.
dreams though, because that is, they say something that's like you have something to say. There's like you have anxiety, but talking about something like. But I had that too when I used to chew tobacco. Another reason why I have darker teeth.
You used to have what when you chew tobacco?
Dreams about losing teeth.
Ah,
I was fucking scared about. I don't know why, man. Like your teeth are like something that's kind of important for you to eat, right? So like. That's like I wish because I've been like my son
correct. Very
kind
good.
of. I've noticed something in 40 years on this planet. Teeth are very
There we
necessary.
go. Teeth falling out are associated with loss and important life changes. This dream could indicate that you're dealing with
See?
some kind of loss,
What
like an
about-
abrupt and to I can't read it. I need
End of
glasses, man.
relationship. Or a job change.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If I got my dreams together, maybe I would have realized my relationship was never going to last.
There you go. Oh, Jesus.
Ah, they were giving
Huh?
you some insight.
Down. Ooh.
Fucking
Cool.
A, man. That's why I'm trying to do some psilocybin to get those.
Nah, you're pretty
Reconnect those.
innocent. You wouldn't have realized.
No, yeah. Naivete.
Naivete, baby.
Dreams are important, though. Not just the ones, not just goals.
I always have dreams that I don't have, like, I can't find my pants and I'm like late
Oh, I
for
get that
something,
one.
or I'm at a party and I'm like, I don't have any fucking pants on, man. Like I have underwear on and shit, but I just don't have pants.
Yeah,
It
what does that
happened
mean,
again.
Mark? This is kind of
Well,
interesting.
probably
actually.
because at one time we were at a party in high school, you didn't have pants on. Remember that?
There's that one, and then I also get the one where I'm climbing really steep slopes.
What
and
does
I
it
can't
say? In
quite
general,
make it to
dreaming
the
of
top.
not wearing pants in public signifies
What's it say?
being exposed for vulnerable, not fitting in, feeling
Oh,
rebellious,
You're true.
being playful, feeling liberated, and insecurity.
Well, that's
Yeah,
everything.
I would say that
Yeah.
pretty much
You know
sums
what?
it
It
up.
would be one of those. That's correct. Thank you, Google. Yes.
9 options.
One of those everything options.
I like how being playful is one of the options. Like, you have your
Just
pants
being
off.
playful with my pants off.
That's what you do. You
I
pull your
don't-
pants off in front of a girl for tour. Like, hey, I was just being playful. I'm not trying to Harvey Weinstein you. Just being playful.
And none of those dreams have ever felt playful. It's always just anxiety and like, I
Yeah.
need pants. Like I need to find
That's
pants.
cool.
What does the one mean where you just keep falling down steep slopes? You think you're going to make it to the top of a cliff and then you're just hanging on? I get
Go
that
to Google
literally
search.
Or
every
where you
other
like
night.
fall, where
Yeah.
like you have those ones where you dream and you fall, but in your dream and then
Yeah.
you wake up like
I
you're on
can
a
wake
that's
bicycle.
myself
just-
up when that
that's just
happens. I can wake myself up before I hit the ground.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
I got
everyone
that.
does.
Yeah, that's right. I can go into
No
a
one's hit
dream
the
and know I'm
ground in their
asleep
dream.
and still
That's
just.
how they tell you're dead.
I used to have that where you
Says
would,
if you have dreams of falling off high places, it's just because you're short.
In certain
anxiety
countries,
or
I'm
fear in
considered
your life.
lanky. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Basically, it's just anxiety. It's like different forms of anxiety for all these dreams. I feel like so.
Yeah. That's the answer
Yeah.
to everything. It's like the star signs. You can relate
Yeah.
to anyone.
Yeah,
That's what they were talking about. Like when they talk about Mercury in retrograde, it's like, it's in retrograde again. It's like, when is Mercury going to graduate this grade and get to another fucking grade? It's always in retrograde.
Yeah, also stop blaming
What
your
about- why'd
bad
you go to fucking
personality
seventh
on the
grade? Yeah,
fucking star sign. Like, no,
I'm
you're
sorry, I'm in
just
a
an
mood.
idiot. You're an
Mercury's
asshole.
in retrograde again. It's like, can we fucking graduate to the
I'm
next
acting
grade?
like an asshole because Mercury's in retrograde. It's
Yeah.
like, nope, you can't do that every night, son.
I'm having an off day.
yeah. This shit's fucking stupid.
What else did you want to get off your chest, Eric?
I was thinking about, like, so in school, obviously, I was not that smart. Still am not. I know.
Uh-oh.
Shocker to everyone. But I remember like the moment that I quit school, like in my head, I was like, fuck this. This is a rigged system. I'm fucking just going to cheat. And
I like how you think it's a rigged system when it's actually like an educational process. You're like,
no, it wasn't.
I
'cause-
see what they're doing here, testing me and trying to educate me and then seeing how much I retain via the test. Like,
It's a conspiracy.
No, well,
I'll play this.
no. What had happened is that there was this was like third grade or something, and we had
That's when you
very
quit
young.
school?
I stopped. Very young. I abandoned school altogether.
Quarter of the way in.
Yeah. But so there was like a class that I took, and it was like a music class, and they had flags all over like the room from all over the world. And one day a week they'd call on somebody and they'd be like, all right, name the flag. and tell us about it. And whoever gets it gets on like an eraser or a pencil with one of those fucking like, you remember in school they had those little rubber things you could put on a pencil to help your form. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Hand grip.
Sure.
I think I was in like special classes too most of my life. I didn't realize it. I think I was. I think I was in a lot of special classes, but my parents just like didn't tell me. Like I was like,
everyone wears a helmet.
It's a lot of goofy looking kids in my
to pull
class.
you aside and put you into a different room with a substitute teacher.
I had my mom she thought I was fucking deaf. That's how dumb she thought I was. She was like, I fucking think that I think he's deaf. I don't think he's stupid. I think he's deaf. And so she took me to an audiologist and they put me in a room and they're like, they put like headphones on me and like, raise your hand if you can hear this. And my mom was like, they're like, no, he can fucking hear. He's just fucking stupid.
He doesn't know what hear means.
He's just stupid as shit.
See all those dribbles coming out of his mouth?
100% like the jerk. Yeah.
With the eye patch.
Yeah, it's just fucking dumb as shit. So
Dirty
like
Round
I was,
Scoundrels, the fork of the cork. Yeah.
yeah, and then I remember being in
cork
like,
in the
you know,
fork.
like different classes and shit. I'm like, oh, why are all these kids like, you know, like they don't look like normal kids and stuff, but why am I in here, you know? And then long story short, so I was in this classroom and they would, the teacher would call on a kid and be like, all right, what is this flag? Where's it from? Tell us a little bit about it. And every week they do this. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to like study some of the flags and I'm going to fucking get it this time. So I studied my ass off. I remembered like all these flags, and the flag that she called, it was Wales, which is like that red dragon, you know, and I'm like, she called on it and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I know this one. Bam, hand goes up. I was the first person in the
Germany.
room. Then this motherfucking kid named fucking smart kid, he like jumped like 3 grades and shit. A fucking like super smart kid.
Get back to your grade, man.
He fucking raises his hand like way the fuck after me, and the teacher's like, anybody? She's like not gonna call on me. She's like, this kid fucking is not gonna answer the right thing.
Like
She's
how
like,
you remember
she's
all the
like,
time,
you. And so I'm like, oh motherfucker. And he's like, ew, it's Wales, man. This is the country from this. And he fucking got his little pencil and all this shit. I'm like, fuck you, fuck the teacher, fuck school, fuck all this. So from that day forward, I just was cheating my ass off on every fucking test that I ever took in my life. Fucking, I cheated on a reading assessment test that was not even fucking graded. It didn't even have a grade in it. I was just so in the grind with cheating in school that I fucking copied off this
Eric's
girl.
like, name Ted. Oh shit.
So I was taking this test and it was a reading comprehension test and had no grade, had no bearing on my grade in the class at all. And I ended up copying off this girl that was sitting in front of me. She ended up going to Harvard, by the way, which is probably why I got this reaction, which I'm about to tell you. So I copied all the answers off of her, fucking all this shit. And I come home from school one day and my mom's like, we're just so proud of you. And I'm like, what? And she's like,
giving up in 3rd grade.
You like aced the reading comprehension test. And she had it on the fucking fridge and shit. She circled it, all this shit. And I was like, I didn't have the heart to tell her. I'm like, I fucking just cheated off that shit. And it was the only time I ever had it. My parents like proud of me about any grade that I got that they actually put on the fridge.
In 3rd grade as far
now
as
they
like
know.
Your parents actually being proud of your work. Like, all right, this is the first and only time you'll ever have something on the fridge.
No, well, they didn't know because in high school I kept my cheating systems down. I kept that kind of low, and I was a smart cheater. I always I didn't go for A's. I would just C minuses.
Just want to be a co-star.
B
not the lead.
minus.
Yeah.
All
B
that
minus
kind of
was
shit.
good.
Yeah, I would always, you know, erase some of the answers I knew that were right and would make it sure it looked like I was, you know, just getting by.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any red
street
flags.
smart though, isn't it? That's actually kind of smart for a kid.
Yeah.
Brilliant cheater.
I had
system.
this one of the girls I was friends with in school. She would take the test and she knew I was stupid, so she'd be like, all right, I'm like, hey, can you help me with this test? And it was like a Scantron test. I don't know if kids do that anymore, but it was like, you know, abacadabra, ABCD, whatever, and you just take the test and you fill in the little sheet and then you hand it in. So I'm like, fuck, how am I going to cheat on this test? Because I sit like far away from her and we weren't, you know, sometimes they put you in alphabetical order, you know, where you're sitting for tests to like mix it up so then you're not sitting next to people you know, or like if you're trying to cheat. So I'm like, fuck, how can I get the answers from her sitting far away from her? So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask her for a piece of gum in the middle of the test, right?
No.
You're thinking, why would you ask for a piece of gum? How is this going to help you, Eric? Inside the piece of gum on the tinfoil paper, on the backside of it, it's white. So she would write down A, B, C, D, B, 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 whatever the fuck all the answers were. And I'd be like, hey, can I have a piece of gum? She'd be like, sure, Eric. And fucking throw me a piece of gum. I'd be like, thank you. Pop it in my mouth, open up the wrapper.
Wow.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, test done. So I would do all sorts of crazy shit like that.
It's funny your teacher at one point in time wasn't like, it seems like every time Eric takes a test, midway through, he needs a piece of gum from Erica.
Yeah, question though. So
No, they didn't catch on. I fucking had
does
all
your-
sorts of crazy shit.
does your mom know about this?
Oh yeah, they knew now. I told them. I'm like, I fucking cheated through high school. I was fucking stupid.
Okay, so it's not a reveal here.
They knew I
funny
wasn't
thing is-
going to fucking like some Ivy League school or going like any further.
He knew
than
you were
us.
dumb the whole time, Eric.
They know I would peak at an associate's degree,
Yeah.
and that was even pushing it.
They were
then.
encouraging the cheating.
I think I even cheated in that, and I went to school for graphic
well,
design.
so we got motorcycles in high school,
Yeah.
Eric and I, and another buddy. And you have to take a temp test, right? You do it at the DMV. So this girl with a gum wasn't there. I was there. We're taking the test and shit like that. And we got busted cheating on the fucking motorcycle temp test. Remember that lady's like, hey, what do you got? You guys can't do that. Like when she basically stopped the test. We had to turn it in. She
It's like,
shredded
you guys got to
We had
leave.
to come back again another day and take the test and shit. But the motorcycle, like the test for, I don't know if you ever gotten your motorcycle license. I know you're thinking about it, but like, it's like, none of this shit makes sense. It's like, if it's raining in Brazil and you're driving on West Avenue, do you take a left or right at the intersection? What the fuck does that even mean? It has nothing to do with riding motorcycles. It's all random shit. And it took us like twice to pass that fucking thing.
Yeah,
Well, once we
I
got
think
busted cheating.
my parent or my mom knew the jig was up to when I failed my temps test for driving because it's a written test.
Yeah.
You know me, not a good test taker. I can drive.
Did you bother to study? Or you just thought, we'll
I
just
just
cheat?
can't. I can't study. I don't know how to
Yeah.
study.
Oh,
that's
come on.
No, I swear to God. People are like, yeah, I study. I'm like, how? How do you study? You just read something over and over again and then your brain just
You
like
still reading
absorbs it?
manuals?
Like
Yeah.
I cannot study like that. I need like a different form of teaching to get me to like I need to actually do
Cheating,
something.
yeah.
Like,
Before-
yeah, I need
Oh,
to
shit, you can go online and it just tells you everything. Like you just do the practice test. You're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut
No,
up,
I mean,
Charlie.
because I felt the same way too. I'm not a big dude.
I don't enjoy
we went
it.
to get our real estate. Like it took me about 7 years to get my real estate license. Like legit, like passively trying to get it and stuff like that. And it was like, it's like a fucking 3-month process. But like, just again, I would sit in the class and just listen. And then I'm
There
like,
you
I'm
go.
going to observe this through
auditory,
osmosis and shit.
visual, and kinetic learning.
Yeah.
Eric is kinetic.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mark.
Mark thinks
I've
that.
been
Kinetic a
diagnosed.
fancy way of saying cheater.
Except we didn't pass it though, so it's not really learning, is it?
Yeah.
No, I think I was taught the wrong way. Like in school, everyone's always taught the same way. Okay, here's a
Yeah.
book. Go home and memorize that book, and then take a test. Like every class, no matter what, is math, history, science, whatever. That's what you do, and
Yeah.
that only caters to those people that learn that way.
Yeah.
I'd say like more than half of people don't learn that way. Like you learn
you're
in a
really good
different
at
way.
like you're really good at like knowing colors and shapes. You
Yeah.
can just gauge stuff with like it's this big, it's this many bigs.
I do. I think that is the problem with like schools now is that they've always just catered to one way of learning. Unless you have a really good teacher, they know how to like cater to you and make learning like easier or fun. Where that's why kids like fucking hate learning because it's like fuck, I just can't
Yeah, you don't
sit
you
down
don't
and
learn how to
memorize
think.
words and then like do that. And then I also know people that are really good at that but are fucking stupid as shit. And I'm like,
yeah, book smart people are not the smartest people.
yeah,
That is true.
it's very true.
I've learned that. Fuck.
Yeah.
I used to be really attracted to girls that were very book smart, and then you start to get to know them, and you realize they're very emotionally immature because they know all the facts. They can quote stuff from a book. They
Yeah.
can tell you this and that. And at first, you're like, "Oh my god, this is like a different level." Then you realize street smarts,
Yeah.
emotional
Meanwhile,
smart.
you're playing 3-card money and shit. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
no, Eric, but you are a smart person. Though. I'm not gonna just sit. I can't bag anyone all the time. As
If you
far as
find
like,
something fun as well, you could be the smartest person in that field. It's just in school, this is a book. Copy this down.
yeah, reading,
done.
writing, and arithmetic never been your strong suits. But like,
yeah.
Well, you don't need math
yeah.
But
anymore.
then it makes me kind
That's
of
the
think
thing
too,
of the
like,
past.
man, if I could go back and like have someone cater to like how I learn, maybe I should have stayed in those special classes. Maybe that's what they were for.
What do you reckon would have been your way to really excel?
I think just being like physically doing something or like learning with, instead of just reading something out of a textbook, like physically doing the thing, whether it's,
Mark said trade school. We went to trade school.
yeah, trade school.
We continued
Wait,
our
what is-
education.
what
Eric and I out of
is
high
trade
school.
school? What do you mean?
A tech school, so there's like
Oh, I got to say this real quick.
what?
So when I did go to community college, man, this confirms,
It was a community involvement
This
to get
confirms that
graduated.
I'm dumb as shit.
Okay, yes.
So I was like doing really bad in my community college because you still have to take like prerequisite classes like math and all these other.
But Erica wasn't there with the gum.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Her name was not Erica, by the way.
That's just your name with an A.
So I was doing bad in my math class, and like because I cheated all through high school, so they're like, now I'm in college math. I'm like, I don't know any of this shit. Like, this is like, you're
like Forrest Gump. You match up like
you're basically a third grader trying to like go to college.
Like,
all right.
Dude, he's
I'm trying all my old tricks and shit. I'm like fucking asking people for gum and shit. Like, what do you ask for gum for? So I'm like, they had a special like, you know, it was called like what was it, like special help after school, like kind of a thing, like for college. And so I go there, and in high school there was this kid with Down syndrome that his name is and he was like really nice kid, but he had Down syndrome, and so he happened to go to the same community college as me, and so
me
I got and Tony as well, and so I went to this after school class, and who's fucking sitting there waiting to do his math? After fucking my math class in college, I'm sitting there with him, and I'm like kind of looking at his paper like, fuck, man. Am I fucking getting these answers right? But it was so
Eric, you want them?
I take back what I said.
But it was like, I was like, man, we're gonna fucking get this shit together, man. Like, fuck yeah,
I got you, buddy.
Fucking do this shit. But he was like, we like motivate each other.
You're encouraging him to learn and go home and study.
He did, though, but he did. He really
come
did
on,
help.
Mike, try harder for me.
He did, though.
This.
But we both were like, I was like, shit, like, man, like, you know, everybody has, you know,
like you and I aren't that different.
Yeah, I'm like, same, me, you, same, you know, like all that. But I'm like,
punch him in the chest, like,
me, Eric, you, Mike, dude. But I was like, damn, like, you know, like I was like, shit. So like, you know,
you're collecting cigarette butts like he used to do.
Yeah, like he's,
man.
Yeah, but yeah,
What
it's just kind of like
the mullet and the Down
I went full
syndrome.
circle. I was like, okay, we're back to where I am. It's confirmed. I'm, you know, not the best at that.
Should
But
never
I'm
let
like, but
those
then I'm like,
special ed
shit, maybe he
classes-
just needs to be taught this a different way too. Maybe he's like, I need to fucking, you know, learn different and shit. So we ended up passing our math class.
Yeah, because you copied him.
I'm like, do this, Mike. Come on, we gotta get through this, buddy. Don't let me down.
That's hilarious.
There you go. Right there. There's your autobiography.
Mullet and Downey. Yeah, he's a nice kid. I think he had a mullet too, actually. I really do. I swear to God.
Dude, before
That's
this,
a
so
deal
here's the
right
thing
there.
about he was like so ahead of the game. Like he was a super nice kid, just like kind of like a little mascot for our class. And then this dude, before there was such a thing as the hangover, he was wolf packing it, dude. He would do this wolf pack.
Yeah, wolf pack.
We had to do a wolf pack to him, and he'd do it back.
Yeah.
And that's when you were friends and shit.
Yeah.
And
He was
also as part of the Popcorn Express, which I don't know if we've talked about that on the podcast before.
The what?
The Popcorn Express is what they had in our high school. So like if you were in like a special assistance class, like a, you know, special ed, or my dipshit older siblings that were like fuck ups that like were in a class all day long. So they didn't have a study hall. So during their study hall, they would just sell popcorn to other kids. Right. And it was also like the special needs kids and stuff like that. But like I was the only one in my family that wasn't in Popcorn Express. He actually started his own popcorn company.
Yeah, but like anytime you get popcorn from them, you think a little suspect because like
on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like unsanitary stuff going on and like
A lot of runny noses and fucking
yeah, you know,
crummy faces.
But it was a nice
Made fresh.
a nice, you know, thing to do for help with you know, kids with special needs. I'm surprised that I was not in the Popcorn Express ever through high school. I probably should have been making some popcorn.
You said there was a lot of runny noses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like kids with like serious like, you know, like you know,
really the specialist of needs kids were
yeah,
some
like
popcorn.
kids,
And like, and also too, because of the fact that like my little sister had like she was dyslexic and she had a learning disability, so she was also in Popcorn Express. And then my older brother was in Popcorn Express because he was like one of those kids that just fucked up so much they were just trying to push him through the system. So they're like, all right, Donnie, just come to school.
Just go
we'll
make
get you out of
popcorn.
here.
Yeah.
And then when you'd have a free hour to have like for what would be a study hall, that free hour that was kind of like paying back to the community. So you're like basically working at school selling popcorn during the lunch hour and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I was the only one in my family that didn't have to go through the Popcorn Express. So
Also was known for just eating a cafeteria tray of ketchup for his lunch. He was he would do that, and that would just like still to this day I cannot, like I'll think of that sometimes and be like, oh my God, it's just so gross.
show's now been canceled.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Strike all this.
Sounds a
from
bit
the
like a
record.
legend, though.
Yeah, he's. I mean,
He's
You
probably
don't have to be
fucking.
smart in school. Look at the house, like Housewives of Atlanta and all that kind of stuff. Look at
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Oh yeah, all
Yeah.
these people, including myself, much nicer people, much smarter than the people of the Real Houses of insert wherever the fuck. If anybody has ever watched any of those shows, those are the worst people ever. And I think that they don't understand, like, the reason people watch those shows is because they're horrible people. Like, they're not
Yeah,
watching them because they're like,
there's an element of
they're
people that
nice
watch that
people.
because they know they're trash, but I think there's our culture is moving in the way where like people want to be their Kardashians. They want to be the Housewives of Atlanta. They like that kind of shit. And that's kind of the fucked up thing too. This is going to be another reason to get canceled. We get real misogynistic here, but like the problem with women these days, guys, you know, it's like,
Oh, they bitch about us enough.
they're
Go on,
the ones
Tony,
that
let it
watch
out.
that shit and they support that shit. And it is like the worst example of like what a woman is or what a relationship is
So
or a
strange
healthy
that you
person.
could be into
I shouldn't
that
just
kind
say
of
women, but
show.
like just in general, like everybody on the show, unfortunately it's called like, you know, Housewives of insert whatever city it is, but everybody on that show is toxic from the men to the women and just the way they deal in cultures and just general with like everything's fucking like name brand. There's a completely lost touch of everything. Whereas you watch like Naked and Afraid, right? You know, that's some quality people just trying to get back in touch with nature,
yeah,
grounding themselves.
yeah, all that shit is just like such trash TV.
You know, the show itself is kind of addicting. Like, it's entertaining. It's
What
the
one?
people that then all that housewife, arguing stuff. That part's good. But then a lot of people idolize them. They want their
That's what I'm
life.
saying.
They want to be like them.
Right.
That's the problem.
But
But
the
the actual as a
it's-
TV show, it's fucking genius. It is
Well, again,
addicting. It's
so what it
hilarious.
is though is like, you know, I feel like most people watch movies and television the same way where like you put yourself into a character in what you're watching, right? So like I'm more of like a Stacy from the Housewives and shit, and Stacy's still a dumb bitch. You know what I mean? Like all of them are like that and shit. But like that's
Eric.
your brand, right? And you have that with all. There's like a, you know, I don't know how many different offshoots of that concept, like Basketball Wives and all that shit, and they're all just trash ass people. Like all of them are just trash. Like
Yeah.
I've not seen one of those. I'm like, oh, and if they are a decent person, they get edged out. Like the other girls kind of gang up, like
It's so true.
She thinks she's better than us because she is, and she's not fucking toxic.
and they
to you,
don't
then
like
off
it.
the show real quick. Yeah,
The opposite to that, have you ever watched that show on Netflix? It's called Love on the Spectrum.
I love that show.
It
Yeah,
is
still gotta try to get us canceled
Michael.
again.
Hello, my name is Michael. You talking
Oh,
about the
yeah.
Australian one?
Oh
That's
my
so much
God.
better than the American. The
Dude.
American one tried to like make it into this big spectacle, and it wasn't the
Yeah.
point.
They did
They almost like using these people with special needs. But the Australian one, they had it to a T, and it was, you know, you just rooting for them the whole
Yeah.
time. They weren't. I mean,
Yeah.
it
but
was
also
entertaining,
like
but they
the
weren't
deal
it's-
breakers
you-
with relationships. Like there was a thing where like it was just something like I forget it was like a dinosaur. Or somebody's like, I like her, but like you know she doesn't like T-Rexes. That's my favorite animal. We
I'm
can
like,
never
fuck
be together.
yeah,
It's just
man.
like
yeah.
you're
Stand your
you're
ground.
true to yourself. Like no,
Yeah.
fuck
And they
that.
tell
I'll
the
never be
truth.
with
There's no
someone. Yeah.
lies.
Oh,
It's
like
just,
the
Yeah.
contrast from those two shows is like so vast that it's just like really like humbling, and it just makes you like be like, oh my god, it makes you almost look at yourself too, like, am I being as good as these people
well,
are?
they're just so honest.
They're so honest, so genuine, and so like so nice that it's just like, man, it's like I wish that was like the trend. I wish that was like something that got as much attention as like these trash ass shows that
It's
are
like,
on TV
does
all the
Mike
time.
really sell popcorn?
I don't know. Mike's Gourmet Popcorn. He might have made a career. No, it's since 1968. He's
Okay.
only as old as us.
Huh? And he might be like Webster, doesn't age.
Maybe.
I mean, nearly as old as us.
Yeah, I love that show. That's like I wish that kept going and they keep making more of those shows because it's just such a good like hearted show, and you like root for all of them, and they're just like so nice and like genuine and shit. It's just great. I really
They fall
really-
in love instantly.
Yeah, they're just like
I wish
don't
I could do
know.
that. I'm too jaded at this point.
They don't have like all of like the insecurities and like all the other
That's
stuff.
the funny
I mean, some
thing.
of them
They're
do maybe,
almost-
but like they're
They do, but they're almost very secure at the same time
Yeah.
because they just like, this is who I am.
yeah.
They'll
Well,
say,
they
this
know
is
it.
wrong
They're
with me. I don't
self-aware,
like that.
which is odd. You know, just
Very
like-
self-aware.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, you know, I know I have this thing and you have that thing, and then too, there's like again going back to like the Housewives shows where there's like they cut to the fashion like he's perfect, but I'm going to change this about him, and it's like there's like that delusional rationale where you go to Love on the Spectrum. They're like, it's not going to work because of this, and it's a fucking deal breaker. She doesn't like licorice. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm more of a
love that.
Twizzler.
I
She's
just-
more of a red vine.
You know, you haven't watched it, have you?
Love on the Spectrum?
Have you seen
Yeah.
it? The Australian? Do
Yeah.
you remember Michael? Michael, hello, my name is Michael.
Yeah.
So he's now got a spin-off show, I believe.
Really?
I mean, you might want to Google this. I'm pretty sure he got a spin-off show because he was everyone's favorite. But I used to love how, remember he was obsessed with the lady from Gilligan's Island?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he like always wanted to go to the convention. As soon as that lady died, because she died not long ago, that's the first, I Googled, after the death. And Michael was coming up in all the
Really?
news. Except I was just thinking about Michael, like, oh, poor Michael.
That's funny.
That's it, Michael. Oh, Michael's most romantic moments. Oh man.
Yeah, just so like genuinely happy about stuff all the time. I'm like, man, I gotta take some notes from these people. Like they're like really.
You actually could take notes. I think
they
we
are.
could
They're
take a
like-
lot. I take the big, just being honest about.
Yeah, there's so much you
Who
can
I
like
am.
learn from that and take away like something good from any of those people that are showcased on that show. Really, really, really good people.
Wait, what's Mark typing on the screen right now? Oh my
Live
god!
like we're on the spectrum.
Yeah. How to live
Trying
your
to
life
live on
like
the
Kind
spectrum,
of though.
man.
Like
Yeah.
he wrote life goals. How to live life like someone on the spectrum.
Yeah, but
Or
you
live
think about
life
that.
like
But
you are on
again,
the
too, dude,
spectrum.
like
Yeah, kind of actually.
there's a childlike innocence with like the
Exactly.
that show,
We're
and then the
missing
same thing
that.
too. So you look at like child actors are always really good actors because they're not jaded yet, right? So like you look at like most of the Haley Joel Osments and stuff that are like good natural actors because they didn't get fucked up yet in life, and now you have to try to break that shit down and become like.
Yeah, they got no barriers.
That's why it's
or
taking
walls
us a little time, Charlie, to become good actors because they got to fucking like undo all that damage, that fucking like the jadedness and shit. And
No, I just don't look like.
Sometimes
Brad
I wish
Pitt.
I was
That's
on the
what I'm not in. Sometimes you wish you were on
Tony,
the
this is an intervention. You
Yeah.
you are.
I am on the spectrum.
spectrum.
I am the spectrum. Spectrum one,
You might
baby.
be. You fucking remember like all these
I
weird
do.
dates and
I'm-
shit.
I'm
You're
like
like,
do you reckon
way
you
that
too-
was
look on the
January
spectrum?
23rd. It was 7 p.m. You
Yeah,
were
I got some fucking.
I heard
I
Rain
had
Man
something wrong,
fucking
my
settle
bro. I
down.
remember way too many details and shit, and like just where I was in the first time I heard a song, and then how that correlates to like a year later. It's all this shit. It's just way too.
So you're like Rain Man
fuck-
spectrum.
Yeah. Without the card playing skills and stuff, Friday nights at pizza nights.
Yeah.
72 toothpicks.
There's like another thing too with like the going back to the Real Housewives or whatever. Like all
my
that.
skill of wonder where's my baseball. Yeah, I'm very close to the baseball.
Mark's getting us cancelled.
I know,
We're not
Mark.
doing shit.
Yeah.
He's saying talk about this. It's just-
Mark this is all Mark that is the producer of this show.
I'm just reading these lines.
Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I have to read out loud. No, but we're on the spectrum, so we are going to read out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
I'm
you're
Ron
doing.
Totally Ron Burgundy moment. Like so many people use filters now on like on everything that it's like convoluting like what they actually look like in
Oh,
real
yeah.
life to the point where it's like I see people post stuff all the time and I'm
Yeah,
like,
dude.
why did you make yourself look like a cartoon or like so like glowy or whatever? I'm like, that's so fucking weird.
The funny
Yeah.
thing is this: I always feel like pictures. What I like about an actual picture is like once it comes around and like, remember this 4 years ago? I can gauge. I'm like, shit, I'm kind of looking a little rough, or I was like heavier then, or I'm skinny, all that kind of shit. But when you start filtering things, you have no way of gauging this fucking like airbrushed version of yourself. So
Yeah.
how do you really know how you've changed over time?
Yeah.
That's like.
That's why I got no matches on Tinder. At least that's what I'm going with. I used to put honest pictures. Just no match. Every so often I get a prostitute.
Huh.
Like promoting something, Ooh.
You get a
Yeah,
score.
$10 handies.
spam
It's true
bot.
that even like the AI generator things that came out
They're still
recently,
trying to scam
and
you?
everyone's doing that. Everyone's doing that
Ooh,
AI
don't they,
thing,
Charlie?
right? And I'm just like, everyone's like, it doesn't look. We know what you look like. This looks nothing like. He's like, well, this is what I would look like in the AI world. I was like, no,
Well, the funny thing,
Yeah.
I
you're
feel like
ugly.
people
I've
that do
seen
the
you.
AI ones, it's like that is like a indicator as to how delusional some people like. They finally someone gets a picture of how
Well,
I
and
really
everyone's going to
look.
live in that world, though. So, like, you're really good looking in this world, but what if you actually do meet in real life? Although
Yeah.
we're going to do that less regularly now. It's just
I
going to be
like
the shock
all my
of the
fucking
century.
like flaws and wrinkles and fucking all that shit because that's just me. So like I've had chicks that I've been with that were like they do filters when I'm taking pictures. I'm like, don't do that shit because if I don't have that filter, the next time someone sees me, like, oh Jesus Christ, what the fuck happened to him? You know what I mean?
Having a
Like,
rough
it looks,
day?
yeah,
No,
like it looks
I'll
like
tell
oh
you
shit,
something,
like
though. I don't use filters. When I go on my Instagram,
yeah.
I look really good in those pictures. And then I have the fear of like, okay, now I've got to meet this person in real life. Because I use like the best angle ones with the lighting that someone's like a professional photographer.
Right.
And then I get like all these DMs. I get a lot of DMs on there. Like people want to go out,
No
and
one
then I
likes a
just have
bragger,
to, I have to
Charlie.
politely like come up with an excuse why I can't meet them.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
a long way off those pictures. I'm like 50 pounds off those pictures, man.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like I've seen people like
Say you're
post
having an
like,
allergic reaction. Like I got stung
like-
by a bee before.
yeah.
So
or people will like post pictures of themselves like when they were like 20 years younger, like a
Oh,
picture
yeah,
like
yeah,
where they
yeah.
were like I'm like that's when you were like a kid, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were like you
it's
know
not catfishing, it's kid fishing.
yeah, it's like so weird. It's like I don't know, it's just so many people do that now. It's just very odd.
But do you have that thing though? Because I feel like my internal like profile picture, what I think I look like. I think we've talked about this before. Is like, and it's I think of immediately like the ugliest picture of myself, like double chin, non-flattering angle. That's how I feel like I look around anyone. So anytime someone's like, "Oh, you're actually a decent looking guy," I'm like, "Really, me?" Like all fucking hunchback from Notre Dame, Quasimodo and shit. Because I have like a very low self-esteem as far as like what I think I look like. And then I meet some people that are like, I know I'm better looking than. I'm like, how are you so fucking confident? Because like they have the doctored pictures and they kind of like live in that realm and stuff like that.
Some people photograph really well though. I feel like they're
Also
the most.
true.
I photograph awful. Like I get ready to go out, I can be happy with how I look in the mirror. Look back the next day at those pictures. Jesus, it's like I'm next to models, and then there's just a little jab of the heart. That's what I feel like I look like in those pictures. It's just,
got a
that's not what I
catfish.
look like in the mirror.
I got a catfish story for you.
Oh yeah, go on.
So, this is back in the day when I was on the dating apps. This is Plenty of Fish days, right?
Yeah.
So it's an old app.
And you found plenty of fish.
So there was this woman who was interested in me, and she had some very nice photos, and she always was very like kind of
Artistic, the way she had her
artistically
hands. Yeah.
like kind of like positioned and stuff. And I'm like, oh, whatever, go grab some food or whatever.
Yeah.
So she invites me over to her house, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
But where was she living though? Because that was also kind of
She's
a
living
suspect.
in Long Beach. You
Well,
know
like-
where all those like smokestacks are? It's like real
Yeah.
industrial, I don't know if people don't know about that area, but it's very industrial. It's like a lot of smokestacks
Like
and shit.
cranes and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
like just
There we
really,
go. I like
really,
it,
really
yeah.
weird. So I'm
Alley
like
cat.
telling Tony, I'm like,
Sheet
hey, I'm
metal
going on this
fences.
date tonight. This girl, she invited me over, and like, she's gonna cook dinner and stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, so drive down to Long Beach. I go to this woman's house, and I get there, and she's dressed in a full lingerie, like already. And I'm like, oh, this is already a little intense, right?
Kinky.
So she's like, oh, I got some.
Your present is wrapped.
I
sir.
got some food cooking, and I'm like thinking she made like dinner or something. She has like a pizza pocket in the fucking microwave, and like some like $2 Chuck wine or whatever.
Dude, that's
and she's
enough
like, "You
for
want to
me."
watch a movie?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like kind of already weirded out, and I fucking hear something like running upstairs, and then she didn't have a dog or anything. I didn't hear any animal or see a dog or a cat or anything, but I heard like it was like heavy, where it was like it was not an animal, like it was like a person or something. So I hear this like noise
last date.
upstairs, and I'm like, okay. And then she closes the door, like locks the door behind, and I'm like, okay. And then now I'm in like kind of panic mode. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So then she's like, oh, let me go get the Hot Pockets from or whatever. And so she brings them over. Yeah, she brings them over to me, and I'm like, oh, she's missing like 5 of her fingers, like 2 on this hand, 3 on this one. She had her, I don't know what happened. I didn't get that far in the conversation, but I'm like, oh, that's why like all of her photos were like this and whatever and all this stuff.
That's why I was
And I'm
$2 Chuck. It's screw cap.
She's missing her fingers, and I'm like, she's lying already. I'm like, that's not a great way to start any kind of relationship. You're already lying to me. So then I'm like, I don't trust anything.
That's
So then-
exactly what I was.
so then
thinking.
she's like-
awful.
she pours me a glass of wine, and she wanted to watch like the Goonies or something. I don't know, some movie. And so I'm like,
She
she's
wanted
like,
to watch Scary Movie too.
she's like, take my strong. That's not what she offered.
Take my strong
It was,
hands,
I
yeah.
swear, it was like something like novelty.
I like this. Hey guys,
She was older than me by like I'd say at least like 5-10 years, something like that. And then I'm like, oh man, I don't know what's in this fucking drink. I'm like, this is like a little sketch. And then so I'm like, I totally just faked. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. My roommate, he's locked out of the apartment, and I'm the only one that has a key. And she's like, why are you the only one that has a key? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go to the door, and I'm like fumbling my keys and trying to unlock all these locks and shit.
You sent me a
and I
text
remember
to
running
call
to my
you, so I
fucking
called
truck.
you. I'm like,
I'm
Eric,
running
you
my
need to come home. You're like, what? You need me to come home right now?
Yeah.
It's the worst acting you've ever heard. Like, I will leave this date. I am so sorry, young madam.
It's so dramatic. Running to your truck. Like she's going to be chasing
No,
you.
I didn't know what was upstairs.
She's
I don't know
lightweight.
if it
She's
was
missing fingers. She can be
it
quick.
means- I don't know what the fuck was going on.
The
I'm
hills
like,
of ice,
I'm like 24 at the time too. I'm like, you know, my little truck. I'm like, it's in this industrial area. It's dark out. You know, I'm so scared of the dark at that point. And so I'm like, run to my truck. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
24.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is fucking nuts. So I'm like, get in my car. I'm like all hyperventilating. I'm like, Tony, this is the craziest shit. This lady had no fingers. She's trying to sort of hot pockets and shit.
You wasn't like at least curious about a hand job or something?
No,
that would
nothing.
work.
I was like, man, she's lying already right off the bat with
She only
like,
has half the fingers. Take twice as long. Yeah.
it was just, I don't know. It's just a very scary, odd, weird situation. So
She's probably learned some great techniques.
Yeah.
You have to, right? If you don't.
I don't know.
Called a 2-finger swizzle.
Oh, I didn't try the hot pocket or the wine. I would just like drink and like put it up to my lips, be like, and spit it back in the cup. And be like, ooh.
It's like getting a hand job. Me too. That's-
Dating.
Yeah, Mark said it would be like getting a hand job from ET. No, he gave a good finger, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he had those
The old
nice
finger
long
on the
hands.
bottom.
He had those nice long fingers. Yeah,
Ejaculate.
put one of his glowy fingers on you.
Yeah, look at that finger. Cool. If you're into
You could have
that.
had those wrapped around all 4 inches.
I bet ET's pleased
The
some
one
ladies
picture
in
looks
his time.
horrifying.
Look at that. Dirty little fucker.
Just yeah.
Dirty little shit.
Yeah. So
To be honest is what we're trying to recap, huh?
yeah, just be honest on your
Except for you're on
dates.
tests.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's how it
Cheat
came
on
up.
tests, not on the online profiles.
No,
Is that
it's
what the
fine.
takeaway?
Find how to learn what works for you. You know, don't be forced to do what society tells you how to teach and or learn by memorizing
kids out there-
textbooks.
Don't give up in 3rd grade, otherwise you end up like this guy.
Yeah, dumb.
Being honest doesn't get you
Canceled.
anywhere online, though, does it?
Honesty.
Mate,
And mouth sweats.
I tried that on the dating apps. Being honest doesn't work.
No one's honest anymore.
Really? No, I bring up like
I'm always honest on them. And I
politics,
get about one match a
religion,
month.
like my thoughts of what I want to do with my life. Like always, like any of those dating apps. I'm always like, all right,
What do you say? What do you say you want to do with your life?
I say I want to fucking live in my truck. I get all
Eric's too
the
honest.
crazy shit. I'm like,
Yeah, as a
I just want
a
to
good looking
live a
enough
little-
guy that you can get away with that kind of shit. And people are like, I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna get him to live in a house, and it's just like that kind of shit. Like,
get him to live in a house, wear clothes
not
other
gonna
than his
give up.
stupid
He's
brand.
gonna get back to 4th
His
grade.
dumb
We're gonna
brand.
run away.
his adventure dumb.
Yeah.
You kind of set yourself up for a Billy Madison type movie where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go back to 4th grade and take this shit serious. No more cheating. No more abacadabra gum rapper answers.
But I always thought that those were like kind of deal breaker things, though. Like, you know, I would always ask, like, you know, what are your thoughts on marriage? What are your thoughts on religion or politics? Thoughts on kids? All those things, like right out of the gate, like first date questions for me, like just to like, what are we doing? Like, I'm not gonna fucking be like, well, and kind of like lie or something. I want to know what their thoughts are about that.
Do you bring it up naturally though, or you just go straight in?
Yeah, in a organic way, like, you know, it should be like, oh, you know, or whatever they bring up, and that
My
that would
name's
be
Eric.
my
What are your thoughts on religion and politics?
yeah. No, it was in like
nice
a
boobs. You like God?
organic conversation, or you know, kind of ease into those things. But I always would try
No,
to get
you had
those.
some
I
copy
would
and
always-
paste shit. You were doing some shit. Remember that? You're like, are you more of a puppy person or a cat person? Blah blah blah. Like it was a fucking like a pre-made.
I did have some.
Copy and
I
paste
did have some copy
questionnaire.
and paste like text because
Yeah.
when I was in the dating scene, I would
Dude,
just
Eric
be
was like fucking like too good at it and shit. That he was like streamlined. That's how you got caught up with no hands and shit because it's just like
No hands.
it's just karma has to come around and get you and shit because like
Nancy, no hands.
he was just fucking like churning through the numbers and stuff and just like. No, I'm not saying you were like, you know, getting notches in the belt, but you were a
No,
gentleman
I would
dating
go.
and
I
stuff.
would go on a lot
But
of
you would-
dates
you
that
had a
were
good-
like
yeah.
little dates, not like going out and hooking up, but going out on dates and just like meeting someone for the first time. And I had no intention, like with anything that I would do. I would just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go out and meet some
Hang out with
person.
the person, yeah.
hang out with a person. It didn't, you know, and learn about them. Just I'm going into it as like this could be a friend, like, you know, like no expectations, right? And I always felt like going into something like that, especially like first dates. It was funny because I was going on so many dates at a point where I was very comfortable with that, like just no expectation, be like, hey, how's it going, like blah blah. And I remember like some dates would be like, like, how many dates do you go on? You don't seem like nervous about this. I'm like, I'm not, because I don't really give a fuck. Like, I'm just trying to learn about you and like see like what you're into. And if you're in the same shit as I am, if you're not, then, we just have a beer and a meal and we, see you later, whatever. Like, it was very like that for like 99% of the dates. And then, the ones that turned out to be more would be like, girlfriends, relationships kind of thing. But it was always like that mindset. So I think that was like probably the biggest thing as far as like maybe anybody that may be currently dating or want to go into dating. That's probably the best way to go about it, is just have
know who you are,
no first. Expectations, and just be honest with the person, because what the fuck else are you doing? You're just lying to each other, like, like one up and like, oh yeah, like, or agreeing with whatever they want to do.
I also didn't. Meanwhile, neither of you like the same thing you both said you liked, and now you're at some awkward thing like, I love bowling. You love bowling too? Let's go bowling, and then both fucking realize that you don't do that shit, and that's how.
Yeah, I can be too on the nose of it as well. I had someone in the pandemic interview me on Zoom, and I realized I was in a line of like 10 other guys, and she gave me a specific time. It was like 12:45 to 1. I'm free. I'm like, that's weird, but okay, I guess we're having a chat. And she was asking me all those kind of questions, and then I could see on the feed there was like other people like waiting in the line.
You were like on a Zoom speed dating
like
thing?
No, it wasn't even in speed dating. She lived like the Brentwood area.
Yeah,
I remember that. Very pretty, nice Jewish girl. I like Jewish ladies. I don't know why, but yeah, I had a 15-minute slot. She asked me all the questions you were asking, and then that was it. She's like, all right, we'll catch up. We'll catch up. And then like, you can see like there's other people like just waiting there on the thing with the microphones like turned off.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yep. On that, we got to wrap up.
We're wrapping up?
Yeah, we're wrapping up time over here.
Well, shit. I think we did a good job sober. Yeah?
Yeah.
No one's drunk.
You want to do one on mushrooms at some point, you said.
Yeah. Actually, you want to do one on mushrooms?
That scares me.
I mean,
I was thinking about doing that actually. All right.
Maybe. I just got to figure out what tolerance is for mushrooms, because I don't want to be like here, like fucking shit in my pants and shit, like spinning or like throwing up. Yeah. Mushrooms.
Wait, Mark was typing something then. It's gone. He gave up
the
on
plug
it.
for the shrooms.
Thanks again for listening to the Eric and Tony show. Thank you again to our sidekick, Charlie Clark.
I like being a sidekick. Thank you.
So where can people find you, Charlie?
You can find me on, where am I looking? This camera now. Hello. Instagram at Charlie Clark Comedy. Pretty much it, to be honest. Don't do much on the socials. See you there.
As you should.
See you there. All right. Cool.
I'm at Tony Klein Comedian on the socials and my website, Tony Klein Comedian. And you can find me this Sunday in Garden Grove, next Thursday at the West Side Comedy Theater, if this airs between now and then. And
it will not.
And or you can just go back and, I don't know.
But you're there quite often, like every Thursday?
First Thursday of the month, I'm at West Side. And then I'm the second Friday of every month, I'm at the Third Wheel Studios in Hollywood.
Yeah, that West Side one's really good. You guys need to get there. The Goonies
West Side show is cool.
Pretty much every Thursday at West Side Comedy Theater.
Yeah. You can find me.
Where can I find you?
You can find me at Eric Rustler on Instagram.
Long Beach apartment. Running
you can find some cool Adventure Dumb apparel and buy some stuff for me, so that I'm not the only person buying this shit. And then. You can also find this podcast on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, under the Eric and Tony Show. There's reels posted every day, 1-minute reels. There's the full episode you can find on there on YouTube. We're probably, this might be the last podcast. We might definitely get canceled or in trouble. So thanks again for stopping by and hanging out with us, nut jobs, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, Mark and Petty Cash, for having us.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.